Yeah, first of all, thank you for joining this session, and sorry for keeping you wait. Uh, okay, think we have enough participants to start the session now. Yeah, thank you for confirming. Okay, so we'll start the session. So the session goes like in the starting, we will see what exactly is MongoDB, why it is more widely used now, and yeah, why it is more widely used now, and why do we prefer it over SQL nowadays, right? So in the starting, we'll see much more about MongoDB, but as we go ahead, we will have some hands-on also, some basic knowledge and some basic things, how to install and how to proceed and how to learn like more. So that way we will proceed. And just before that, if you have any doubt within the session, right, either you can unmute yourself and ask any doubt, or you can directly send it in the chat. Both way is fine for me. So after every 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be checking the chats. Plus, if you have any doubt, you can feel free to stop me in between, right? Because there is no sense in moving up with the session if no one is getting it, right? Okay. So yeah, I'll just share my screen. Just one more time, is my screen visible? Can anyone confirm if my screen is visible? Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah. Once again, everyone who joined late, thank you for joining this session. And yeah, so we will discuss some basics of MongoDB. And if you are new to skill stack, I like to let you know that every weekend we have some or the other masterclass on some or the other topics, right? Sometimes it is MongoDB, sometimes it may be React, sometimes it may be front end. So currently this is the second series of our master classes. We have planned a lot more, and the good things about this master class is that if you are looking for a start, right, you can you can have that little knowledge that you need to start the session, right, or to start any particular tech. So whenever you start any new thing, so you need the right guidance, right? So this might be the uh, first step towards starting anything, right, towards starting any tech. I'm not talking particularly about MongoDB. We have other sessions going on as well. So this might be the good start for those technologies, right? So yeah, so let's proceed. So what exactly is MongoDB, right? So MongoDB is basically NoSQL. What do I mean by NoSQL? So I don't know how many of you are from CS background, but most probably most of you are from CS background only. Can you please send me in the chat like how many people are from CS background? Yeah, I will share the material after the session. Plus, I think there is some certificate also for joining this session as well. So both things are there. If you want the certificate, you can reach out. And can you all please comment your like which branch, or like if you are from school, you can comment your classes, right? So that I have overall idea what type of audience it is. Okay, IT, MCA, ECE, nice, nice, nice. Others, okay, CSC. Most of you are from CSC, right? Yeah, ECE is also okay. ECE is also fine. Electronics, fine. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted an insight so that I'll make you people understand appropriately, right? So first of all, why do we even need a database, right? So whenever we are coding anything in any programming language, or whenever you are coding for the web, by web I means for web applications or for apps, right? What is the thing there? Suppose if you are taking any variable, right? Suppose if you have a equal to 15 or a equal to 50, anything like that, right? What happens is as soon as you close that program, all those values get lost, right? You lose all those values. You lose access to all those values. Why? Because all those values are inside your RAM. whatever values you are initializing, they are basically running in your RAM, right? They are basically stored in your RAM, and RAM is, we all know, it is volatile. So as soon as you close the program, or as soon as you close your computer, all those values that are there is lost, basically, right? You don't have those values forever. It's lost. So for that purpose, for storing the values, like for file storage, right? If we are opening any application, so when you are opening any application on the phone or on the, or you're opening any website on the app, so at that point, particular time, that particular application is opening in your RAM, right? But where exactly it is stored when you install it? Where does it go? In your hard disk or in your ROM, for in internal storage, basically, right? In app, in mobiles, if we are talking about. So thing is, uh, yeah, there is a permanent storage also. So when you are running it, then it is inside RAM. But when you are storing it, it has to be permanent, right? Because then only you will have all the details about the particular user and all those things, right? So if I'm not storing anywhere, how will I know if a particular user is valid or not? How will I know that you all have signed up on skill stack or not? I must have a database, right? So database, the main use of database is persistent storage, permanent storage or persistent storage, right? So if we don't have that, we cannot store for a like longer duration, right? As soon as it is running in the system, or as soon as the program is running, till then only we can have the value. But if we want permanent storage, we need to have a database. So database is something like collection of tables. We all know that, right? Collection of tables which have data stored in them, right? I hope it is clear till now what we are talking about. Can we please confirm if it is clear till here? Like, why exactly do we need database? The main thing about databases, many people like start learning database, but they don't know why exactly is database required. Okay. I got one yes. Okay. Yeah. And for those who have joined late, if there is any doubt in between the session, please ping on the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Fine. So, what were like, what is SQL, and like what kind of database is MongoDB? That is what all the session is all about, right? So, what is SQL basically? So SQL, most of you must be knowing. It stands for like basically it is in the forms of rows and columns, right? It is basically structured query language and all those things, right? So what happens in SQL is, I'll show you with the help of an example how the data is stored, right? So if we take this spreadsheet, suppose if I am making a table for, suppose I have to store the details of a students, right? Multiple students. So we have columns, we have rows, right? So this is how data is stored in a database. So we have something called as table. So this is the entire table, and we have columns and we have rows, right? So this type of database where we store it in the form of rows and columns, where we have tables, it is called as relational databases, right? So SQL is a kind of relational database. Fine. So here we have various columns like roll number. Then we have student name, or name. Let's keep it simple. Name, then batch or class, whatever. Then subject, stream, something like that, right? Father's name. So all the things we will have it here, right? And here we will have the data, roll number 1, or batch, CS, stream, computer science, the entire thing, right? Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. So stream, CSC, father's name. Yeah. Let's type here, sorry. Right. So this is like how the data is stored in a relational database, right? We have something like this, and it keeps on going. So whenever a new entry comes, suppose this is the database of your college, right? Of your school, of your, you all must be having a what to say, a student management system for your college or schools, right? So what happens when you click on sign up? Basically, the values are retrieved and a new entry is added here, right? So that's how it goes, right? So this is relational database. That means we have it in the form of rows and columns. Now, there is some problem with this database when we are using it for modern applications, right? And the problem is, we'll discuss what is the problem, right? So let's consider a new spreadsheet. So suppose I have, I'm designing a table, right? I'm designing a table for mobiles. So this is a table for mobiles. So we might have name, manufacturing number or something like that. We have a number, right? Serial number or something like that. Then we might have brand, price, then seller. So all these details we might have for a mobile. Suppose it is Nokia 1100, the old one, right? So suppose I made this schema. Schema means structure of the table. So I made this schema considering that it will store my mobile data, right? The data of mobiles. So I am an e-commerce website. I need to store the details of the mobiles that are available on my platform. So I designed a table for mobile, right? Serial number 123, something like that. Brand Nokia, right? Price 4,000. Seller Nokia India, right? So we have this data. So this is fine, right? Till here it is fine. But suppose now I want to store a detail of iPhone, right? So do you think that Nokia 1100 and iPhone will have the same fields? They both are mobiles, right? Now I'm telling you what problem comes from a database design point of view. So first of all, we must not have categorical tables for each product, right? If we have for mobiles, then we also need to have for groceries, for computers, laptops. So there will be a lot of tables. We don't need to do that exactly, right? But in case of SQL, you have to define a schema, right? You have to design a structure. You have to give the names of the columns, right? So suppose I designed this table, I gave 5 fields. Now the problem is this 5 field is okay for older phones like 1100 or some carbon phones or some micromax phones, right? Some older phones, the simple phones I'm talking about, not the smartphones. So they are okay for that, right? But in iPhone, we have something called as iOS version. We have something called as RAM. We have something called as ROM. So internal storage basically. So where will all those details go, right? So that is the problem. We have color also in. So if you see, uh, we see Flipkart. Let me open Flipkart and show you all. So suppose if I have iPhone, right? And I have keypad phones. Now let us compare the details of these two, right? Let us compare the details of these two. So are we finding, is there OS? Operating system. It's not there, right? Let's see here. Just a second. Operating system is here, right? See, we are talking about schema of mobiles, right? So see, they both are mobiles. One is Lava A3, the other is iPhone. So in Lava A3, we don't have a field called operating system. We don't have it. But here in iPhone, we have it, right? Now my problem is, I designed this schema, or I designed this table considering Nokia 1100, or let's keep it Lava A3. Whatever we are seeing it, let's keep the same. Lava A3, right? So for Lava A3, it is correct, right? Now the problem is, in Lava A3, there is no OS, right? So many of you must say that, will say basically that we can keep it null, right? So we have something called as null in SQL. when that particular field is not applicable, we can simply keep it as null. Null means no value, just like that, right? But now iPhone is there. In Android, we might have some other fields which might be missing, right? So the main uh, point here is that Lava A3 altogether, it might have it might miss multiple fields which iPhone has. So if we are designing a particular table, it should be, first of all, it should be generalized. It should be product table for the entire e-commerce application, right? It should not be mobile. For mobiles, we are making separate. For PCs, we are separate. For laptops, we are separate, right? And this is only I'm talking about mobiles. If I consider laptop and mobile, then like we can imagine how can we relate, right? There might be a lot of mismatch between the columns and rows. Sorry, not rows, columns, right? So how to design the database then? That is the problem, right? So for that purpose only, we came up with a concept called document-based databases, right? The problem here is, so if I have, suppose if I have a lot of older phones as compared to newer phones, so the problem will be I will be storing more of null values. I will be storing more of null values rather than the actual data. So you can imagine, suppose there are some more fields like, let us see, camera, for example, camera, right? So we will have camera, and camera might be also a primary camera, front camera, secondary camera, right? We have 3 4 camera nowadays. Then we will have front camera, selfie camera, which is called as, right? Selfie camera, and a lot of other details. So these all details, when we are considering Lava A3, it will go null. There is no use of these fields for Lava A3, but for iPhone it is applicable, right? So the whole point here is that when we are using this kind of relational database for such a complex application like e-commerce, such a complicated use case, such a complicated application, we will end up storing more null values, which makes no sense, than the actual data. That is my point here. So suppose if I have, now only we are considering mobiles. I'm reminding you again and again because we don't have tables for each product, each kind of product. We have a common product table. I just wanted to make you clear what exactly will the problem come, right? So that is the problem that we are trying to solve with the help of document-based databases. So again, coming back to MongoDB, sorry for the disturbance. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So again, coming back to MongoDB and how MongoDB solves this problem, right? So comparing with SQL, SQL has tables, right? Both are databases only. Inside SQL's database, we have tables. And inside SQL's table, we have something like this, which is rows and columns. So this is called as relational database. So this is all about SQL. But in case of MongoDB, right? So it is document oriented database. What do I mean by document oriented? So whatever rows we are storing, right? So suppose this is one row, this is second row, right? This is one row. So this entire row will be treated as a document. And how it will be stored? It will be stored in a JSON-like format. Let's see how it will be stored exactly. So suppose, let me take the schema for mobiles again, right? So we will have name of the mobile, iPhone. And for all those people who don't know what exactly JSON is, so JSON is nothing, but it is just key value pair. So we have some property and we have some values separated by a colon. And this is called as a JSON object, right? So this is an object, right? This empty, and inside that we have some key and value. So key value pair, this is JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON, fine. So I have one property here. So this same property, if you compare it with SQL, yeah, this one, right? I'm showing you side by side so that you can compare what will change in document-based databases, right? This is name. Then we have something called a serial number, on product number, whatever it is. Then we have brand, right? Then we have seller. So it will be stored like this. So this entire object, right? This one object is considered as a document. Now, how it will solve this problem that we were talking about? So the problem here was Lava A3 might have a lot of fields which may not be applicable for Lava A3. So Lava A3 is a simple phone, just like Nokia older phones, right? Non-multimedia, non-smartphones, right? So Lava A3 is a simple phone. So many fields like primary camera, secondary camera, Android OS version. So all those fields will not be applicable for Lava A3, right? So here you can see we were storing a lot of null values. So we were storing less data. Suppose if there are 40 fields in case of mobiles, right? So in Lava A3, it might happen that 30 fields are null. In 10 fields, actually, we are storing the value. So unnecessary, we are like misutilizing the space of the databases, right? And in case of iPhone, we might take up the entire 40. And in case of any Android phone, we might take up 30 fields, right? Or sometimes more than iPhone also. In it may be if OnePlus is there, we might be storing 50 fields, right? So it purely depends on the features of the phone. So then the higher the features, the higher the description will be, and the higher the number of fields in the databases, right? If we are considering uh, older approach, that is SQL approach. But if the same approach we are converting it here in NoSQL, how things will change is, so this is a document, right? So considering the basic fields, I'm not filling all, so we can assume that some more fields are here, right? Now how the things will change, suppose this is for iPhone, right? I can have this object, so this is called as a document. One object of a particular product is called as a document, right? And I have another object for this Lava A3, right? So I can remove this. And how can I do that? I can remove this primary camera, for example. Here we have secondary camera also, right? So I can remove all those fields. Why I can remove that? Because here we don't have any structure. We don't have this. I did not create these fields, right? There is, like in case of SQL, you have to define the schema before using the table. Before inserting any data, you will have to define the schema. What exactly are the names of the attributes? What are the kinds of value that you are going to store? But in case of document-based databases, you don't have to tell anything. You simply have to make the database and you simply have to insert. And I can insert this object and this object. So this object has 4, 5, 6 attributes, right? 6 property it is having. And this object is only having 4 attributes. This is for Lava A3, this is for iPhone. iPhone has more features, so more number of attributes. Lava A3 has less features, so less number of attributes, right? But they both can come inside one table. So it is not exactly table in case of document-based databases. It is called as collections. So table in SQL is collections in document-based, and rows in SQL. So we have 2 rows inserted, right? In the table, if you are seeing, there are 2 rows, Lava A3 and row second and row third, right? So here it is changing into document 1 and document 2. Fine. I hope everything is clear till here. If not, feel free to ask me any question. If you are following till here, please let me know in the chat. If you are not following, if you have any doubt, please let me know that also. I'll be more than happy to explain again. Anyone? Can anyone? Okay, I got one. Yeah, please ping your doubt, Ajay. Anyone else? Any doubt? If no doubt, then please ping at least a yes so that I can get confirmation that you all are understanding. No, clear, understood. Now, Nyanjan, please again. Okay, clear. Okay, I'll give a. In short, I'll explain once more. Right. So we are talking about MongoDB, right? MongoDB is a document-based database. So earlier, in all kinds of applications, right? This is relatively newer technology. So earlier we were only stuck with SQL, right? So what was the problem in SQL? That only I was telling with the help of an example. So suppose if we have a table for mobiles, right? And in mobile also nowadays we have various categories. We have smartphones, we have normal phones, we have keypad phones, right? We have iPhones. So all those phones will differ in feature. And if they are differing in feature, the number of properties will be different for all the phones, right? For Lava A3, there might be 12 properties. There might be 12 features. Property means features, right? And for iPhone, there might be 40. For OnePlus, there might be 50, right? So the point here is, if we have more number of features, we need to have more fields in SQL. And if we have, suppose if we are starting from A, we have 30 fields, right? It will go till Z, more than Z, right? So the problem will be that for iPhone, it is fine that we are storing all the data. But what about other phones? What about simpler phones? What about keypad phones? In those phones, most of the fields will have null values. So we will end up storing more of null values than the actual data. This is the problem. So suppose my database is of 1 GB. I am running e-commerce website similar to Flipkart, and my database is of 1 GB. So in that 1 GB, more than, like if we are storing like this, right? If you are following this approach, more than half of the data, that is more than 0.5 GB, we will end up storing null values. That is the problem, right? Plus there will be no schema flexible. So suppose if tomorrow a new phone comes, right? And that has, currently we have, I think the latest one is 4 camera, right? 4 camera at the back and 1 camera. Suppose till now we have 5 camera. Now tomorrow, Oppo, Vivo, whatever the phone is, comes with a new feature where they have 8 camera at the, all together in a phone. Now, if a new fold is coming, am I supposed to make changes to my table? Every time a new feature will come to a e-commerce website, it is not flexible, right? Every time I cannot come and change the schema. I cannot say, okay, let's add one more field here. Because if you are adding one more field, there might be thousands of phones that must be listed on your e-commerce website, for which you will have to change the data, right? So if for one phone you are adding, for other phones, you'll have to make it null. And that is not an efficient way to use database. So this is one of the major problem that we face in SQL, right? It is not flexible at all, because beforehand we will have to tell what kind of data we are going to store, what will be the structure, what will be the schema, right? Schema means basically structure. What kind of structure we are going to hold for the particular solution or table, right? So that is the problem with SQL databases. And NoSQL database like MongoDB, which is a document based, helps to avoid that problem. How? So the same data that I showed now can be stored like this. So I need not have null values. I will simply remove those fields which are not needed. So here we have, if this is called as table, this entire file will be called as collection. So table in SQL will be referred to as collection in NoSQL or document based, right? Or MongoDB, simply we can refer to as now MongoDB, because we are only going through MongoDB, right? And yeah, and rows. So if we have rows here, right? 2, 3, 4. So these rows in SQL will be referred to as document in NoSQL or MongoDB. So this is one document, this is another document. So if we are adding more data, it will be third document, fourth document, so on and so forth, right? I hope now the basic sense is clear what problem MongoDB is solving or any NoSQL database is solving. Yeah, Jay, we have that in the PPT. What advantages and what are the features, right? Let's move ahead. I think every one of you have understood by now. If any one of you has any issue, please ping on the chat. Otherwise, we'll move ahead. Right. So as we all know, it is a document-oriented database. MongoDB is a document-oriented database. And I already told you document means this object. This is an object we are referring to as document. So first of all, it is non-relational. Non-relational means it will not be stored in the form of rows and columns. Easier scaling, we'll come to this part later on. This also we will discuss it. Faster, right? It will be faster than NoSQL databases, and it will be faster because of these two things only, right? So we'll discuss that. So this thing we have already discussed. Rows in SQL is called as document in. It is equivalent, not exactly same. It is equivalent of document in MongoDB. Table is referred to as collection, right? So collection is basically what? Collection is basically grouping of documents. So no predefined schema keys and values don't have to be of mixed type. Fine. Not talking about these three things, right? These two things. What is scaling? So suppose currently I have 1 GB data, as I told that I have 1 GB data on my Flipkart. Now suppose my database is allowing up to 2 GBs. I have 2 GBs of storage in databases. Databases also have some storage, just like your hard disk and your phones. It has some limited storage. Now suppose all of a sudden I have, like, my website gets a lot of traffic, a lot of users starts using my website. So what will happen is it will have more amount of data because new users will sign up. Suppose I have big billion sale, right? Something like that, something equivalent to that. A lot of users might sign up. So it may take up a lot of more data in the database. A lot of users will order. All those data will be stored in the database, right? Whatever you are ordering, whatever is in your cart, sometimes that is also stored. Sometimes that is not stored. Uh, whatever uh, whatever products are there listed, whatever sellers are there. So all those things will be stored in the database, right? So if my database size goes beyond 2 GB, right? So there will be two things. First of all, I need more storage, right? So there are two kinds of scaling, vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So vertical scaling is basically when I'm upgrading my current system. So if my RAM is, suppose if my RAM is 2 GB, I'm upgrading it to 4 GB. That is vertical scaling. But suppose if I have one CPU and the number of users are becoming more and more. So each CPU can handle, CPU simply means server. By CPU, I simply mean server. So each CPU can handle limited number of users. It can handle limited number of traffic. So when the traffic is increasing, the problem will be I will need more servers. Then what will I do? Horizontal scaling. The answer is horizontal scaling. I will add more computers. So all those websites, right, like Amazon, Google, all those have massive amount of servers because they have a large of users every day, every time, each second, right? So they have large amount of servers. So if we want to have more users on the platform, we will have to do horizontal scaling, right? So that's what it is saying, horizontal scaling. So when the database, suppose my database is of 2 GB, right? And I want to store product data. All of a sudden, I got a lot of a new seller came up, right? And the new seller, when he joined my e-commerce website, he listed thousands of products. Now my database was around 1 GB, and the size that I'm having is 2 GB. So I have 1 GB free space. Now after adding the seller's details, my database, like the seller detail itself is of 2 GB, right? And I only have 1 GB left. So I cannot accommodate the entire 2 GBs. Plus it is too big, right? So what I'll do, I'll get a new computer, a new server basically, and then I will add it, right? So that is part of scalability, right? I cannot do it on the more on the same system. Because if I do that, first of all, it's not guaranteed that tomorrow I will not have to increase it, right? So sometimes we do vertical scaling, but vertical scaling is a expensive operation. It is not always possible. For example, if suppose you have laptops, right? Your laptops might have 4 GB of RAM, 8 GB of RAM. It will only be possible to upgrade your laptop, means to vertical scale it, only if your motherboard is supporting, right? If your motherboard has 2 slots of RAM, then only you will be able to add more RAMs, right? If you don't have slot, how will you add it? Right? Or in mobiles, you can consider example, if you need more space, right? You insert a memory card. But what about iPhone users? What about OnePlus users? They don't have a memory card slot, right? So how will you upgrade there? You don't have the option. You will get a new device to store the data or to have more apps, right? So, or you can get some space from the cloud. So whatever case it is, you are doing basically horizontal scaling in that case. So vertical scaling is not always possible. Plus, sometimes it becomes very expensive to upgrade the older system to new hardwares, right? Because you will have to change a lot of things. So that's what my point was. So when you do horizontal scaling, right? So a lot of data. So, now coming back to the seller again. So seller's data was of 2 GB. So the entire 2 GB. Now suppose I have databases of 2 GBs, right? And suppose it is 2 GB or more than 2 GB, right? So what will happen? I cannot store the entire data in that database. What I will do, I'll simply create some partition and I'll store it on various servers. So there will be two benefits out of it. First of all, the benefit will be if you have less data on the server, the retrieval time will be lesser, right? If you have it in partition. So if you are making one computer do multiple tasks, right? Suppose if my computer, I'm running MongoDB also, I'm running React also, I'm running multiple applications on the same computer. What will happen? So multiple applications, you can assume like multiple applications on phones, right? So if you're running multiple applications on the phone, you are making the same computer or same mobile phone do multiple tasks. And if it is doing multiple tasks, each task you can assume it as a query in database. So if you are making a computer or a server do more number of queries, it will be end up becoming slower. It will not perform that much good at it as it was performing before, right? So that's what my point was. So if we don't scale, our system might become slow. The database, suppose if you are ordering something, right? Or suppose if you have ordered something and you're trying to go to my orders page on Amazon or Flipkart. If you don't do scaling, it might take minutes to get your query run, right? Because suppose if your database is only supporting 20,000 users and 1 lakh users are trying to go to that page. So only 20,000 users can come at one time, right? Once they go from there, then only the other 20,000 will be allowed. So that's what the problem will come if you don't scale it. So that's why scaling is a must part of databases. As we grow, the data will means as the database grows, right? As the company grows, the databases will grow. When the database will grow, then you will have to scale it, right? And what is the meaning of indexing? So indexing is basically, again, it is used to make it faster, right? Suppose if you have hundreds of data, right? You might have thousands of products or hundreds of products, right? And suppose if you want to retrieve a particular product, so it is not for us actually, it is for MongoDB. It is for MongoDB to have it faster. For example, on Amazon, right? On Amazon, it might have crores of product, right? It might have many crores of product. But if you want a particular product, the database will not go and search each and every product. They have indexes, right? For example, if I have to search between 1 and 100, for example, so if I have created, if I have the numbers in ascending order, I can easily tell, right? Suppose let me give a better example. Suppose yeah, this might be a good example, right? Suppose you are in your college, right? And or in your school, right? So the order is first comes the first class, then second class, then third class, fourth class, fifth class, sixth class, 10th class, 11th class, 12th class, right? This is the order in which your classes are there. So what will happen? So this is something called as indexing, right? So you have indexed it. It is in ascending order and you have created an index, right? So now if I have to search for class 12, is there any guess that will come at the last? We all are knowing that, right? Because there is some certain order that you are following. But suppose if that order was not followed, right? Like in colleges, we don't follow that order. Somewhere you will have computer science section A, sometimes you will have EC, sometimes it might be sorted department wise, sometimes it might not be, right? So suppose if it is not sorted, what will happen? If I'm a new student, I'm searching for any class, I'll have to go and search most of the classes, then only I'll get my class, or I'll have to ask someone, right? So that might not be the most efficient way to do it. So if it is already sorted, if it is already in certain order, certain manner, I can easily tell, right? It is at the last. So same way, when we have indexes in databases, MongoDB will easily tell it where it exactly it is, or it might take less number of searches to find your to generate your query or to find your product. Otherwise, it will. You can see we are not talking about 10 or 20 products. We are talking about scale of lakhs and crores, right? Because all those applications, all those modern applications that we are seeing and using have lakhs and crores of users every day, right? So that way, if we are searching crores of product, we might end up taking, like if you are searching any product on Flipkart or Amazon, right? It hardly takes 1 second. But if indexes are not created, it might take some minutes to do that, right? Because the number of products are so much. 1 crore is very large value, right? For computer also. So it might take up 1 minute, 2 minutes. So see the frustration of the users. Suppose if you are searching anything and you'll have to wait for 1 minute, right? Like just like IRCTC website, you are booking your ticket and you have to wait for a lot of time, right? So same way, suppose if your Amazon is working, there is a flash sale for some phone and you need to have it, and then it is making you wait for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it is gone, right? So that is not the most efficient way to do it, right? So that's why we have something called as indexing or indexes. So both of them can make your database work faster, retrieve your information faster. So that's what the purpose of feature of document oriented databases, right? Let's see some more things about the same. Now features of MongoDB. This was the common features of databases. Now features of MongoDB. So since it is a kind of document base, it will support indexing, it will support replication. Okay, by replication we also mean that in case of replication, suppose if you are storing some data, right? So we have some backup also, replicas also, right? Why do we have that? Suppose your data is stored on machine number 1, and due to some fault tolerance or due to some faulty behavior of the machine, that machine is not working. Suppose I have 5 servers on my e-commerce website. On each 5, I have some details, right, of different users, right? So if I don't have the backup, suppose whatever data you are trying to retrieve from machine number 2, that machine is not working due to some issue. It happens. It happens with us also. Sometimes our laptops or phone does not work, right? Same way it can happen with server also, because server is also just a normal computer, right? So suppose it is not working, so it will be end up being non-functional for some time, right? It you won't be able to get your details, right? So it can be frustrating. Suppose you are trying to withdraw your money from the bank, and your the details on which it was there, that particular server is not responding. So what will happen? You will not be able to withdraw your money, right? So that is not good, because as a business, we want users to operate 24 into 7. We don't want any hindrances. We want that it should work 24 into 7, right? It should be live 24 into 7. It should be up and working 24 into 7. Then only our business will grow, right? So in that case, we'll have something called as data replication. So data replication, so there will be multiple backups of your data, so that if one server is not responding, or if one server gets crashed, or if one database gets crashed, the details can be fetched from other servers, right? So that is the purpose of replication. Okay, I think we missed this point. Support ad hoc queries. So in this week, like you can understand it, I'll not go deeper in that. since many of you might not be knowing a lot about it. So simply you can understand that we can have better queries. We can easily write good queries than normal SQL, right? Better in terms of functionality also, right? Then load balancing. What exactly is load balancing? So load balancing is, again, load balancing is, suppose now you have 5 servers, right? And 5 servers, suppose you have 5 servers and 5 duplicate servers of that for backup purposes. And suppose all of a sudden from today, so suppose if you have big billion sale, right? So number of users normally were 1 lakh on your website. Now all of a sudden they have jumped to 10 lakhs. In sale it happens. All of a sudden users jump, right? During IRCTC Tatkal ticket booking slot, all of a sudden users jump, right? Or during result declaration of JEE or your university examination, all of a sudden users come, a lot of users come, and you are not able to access your result. It takes some time to get your result, right? So in that cases, what will happen? Load balancing is required. So whatever backups we have, right? So we can split the traffic. Suppose if I have 5 backups of each node, means of each databases, right? I have five databases, means 5 nodes of databases, and I have 5 backups for each. So in total, I have 25 nodes, right? So what I can do, I can split that 10 lakh users into 2 lakhs of 5 each, right? So I can redirect 2 lakhs to each database. So that way the database will be faster and it will be smoother experience, right? And it won't go down or it won't hang, all those things, right? Uh, some more features like it is written in C++, it provides high performance, this, that, all those things, right? Store files of any size without any complication. How this will happen? Uh, can anyone guess what will be the answer to point 10th? We have already discussed it, but I want you people to answer it. Can anyone guess how we can store? Suppose my database is of 1 GB and I want to store certain file, suppose a video file or a product review file of more than 1 GB. How will I store it? No answers. Can anyone of you guess? And let me know.
Horizontal scaling, sir.
Yeah, scaling is one option. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, I think
Storing the location details and save this video over at that particular folder.
that is also fine. Right. That is also fine. Good answer. Both are good answers. Right. Yeah, in database perspective, we can do scaling. Right. Link thing is also fine that you told. So basically, I was expecting sharding. Right. Sharding is what we discussed. That can help in solving this problem. And that again goes to scaling. So that is fine. Right. JSON model, we have already seen it supports JSON data. Now, yes, someone asked me, right, difference between SQL and NoSQL. So again, non-relational, relational. Here we have document collection. Here we have rows, columns, on all those things, right? Okay, one thing is ACID property. I won't go deep inside this, but there are certain properties that RDMS follows, right? But it is not the same way in here in MongoDB, right? And the main thing is speed. So speed is faster in case of MongoDB, much more faster than RDBMS. For simple example, we are not storing unnecessary data. We are not storing unnecessary null values. The scalability is better here. So for all those things, it is much good in terms of performance and speed. Right. See, one of the main advantages is it can store heterogeneous data. Heterogeneous as in, I can store one document with multiple, in 10 fields, I can store this like other document with 5 fields in the same table or in the same collection, right? So that is meant by what is heterogeneous data, or I can have the entire fields different. So instead of serial number, I can have some other number, I can have some other value here, right? That will also work here. So most of the fields points are common. That's why I'm skipping it, right? I'm like, since there has been a lot of theory by now. So let us start with some practical example, right? That will be better, I think. These are some data types. What we will do is after the session ends, we will share this PPT, right? So you can go through that. I have not made the entire PPT to discuss it here. I just made it so that the user can, like, all of you can see here, right? So it does not become very much boring. So all these are data kinds of data type that we can store, right? So like in SQL, we have varchar, something varchar, date. Similarly, we have, so see, as we can see, it supports larger number of data types also, right? So this can also be one good example. And see, one unique feature here that I'm seeing. I personally not used it, but see, we can see it here, right? It can store code as well. This is something I don't think SQL supports. It cannot store code. Normal text you can store in the form of codes, but this is the code data type only, right? Regular expression. So all these things, there are few advantages over of MongoDB over SQL, right? So without delaying, let's start with some practical example, right? I think till now, I think and I hope and I expect that till now everything is clear till here. Before proceeding with some practical examples, I would like each and every one of you to respond in the chat. Please respond in the chat if you are with me or not, like till here. Okay. I hope everybody is following. Okay. Practical example. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So for many of you who might not know, right? So we have this series of sessions on every weekend, almost on every Saturday or Sunday. We have some or the other session going on. So so if you have registered with our website, in future also you will be receiving such mails for free master classes, right? So these master classes you can join, you can have some basic information, right? So if you have to start with something, you might not know, you might not have the background details. What happens is, see, uh, on the web everything is there, right? We don't know what information to filter from starting. If we are seeing everything at once, it becomes very confusing where to start from and how to start from. So these master classes are basically aimed to provide basics, right? To provide basics on how to start with, right? So once you know the basic, then you can easily start off, right? And the good things about these classes are, master classes are, that they are free of cost. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to join, learn, and leave. And many of you, if you are like if you're looking for some certificates that are also provided, you can get us back and we'll provide the certificate. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I wanted to tell about masterclass. We'll proceed with some practical examples, right? Before proceeding, let us see how to install MongoDB, right? So you can go on Google, type MongoDB download. You'll see a download here, right? You can select your OS and all those things, and you can download your MongoDB, right? Once downloaded, you just have to install it. Next, 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 next. You all might be knowing. So once installed, there are two things that you have to do, right? There are two things that we have to do. So I'll tell both of the things. First of all, you have to set environment variable. So you'll have to go to your installation folder. So for me, it is C program files. Then we have MongoDB, right? So you have to go on this PC, program files, MongoDB. Then inside this MongoDB, there is a folder called server. So you have to basically go to bin folder, right? And you have to copy this path and search for environment variables. Fine. Then you have to go to environment variables here. Click on path, edit, new, and then add this value, right? And why we do this is basically we want the location of this file, mongo.exe, right? So by default, it is not having. So we are adding it into the path so that we have this location and it is directly connected to our command prompt, right? I hope the step is clear. I'll tell once more. You will have to go to the installation where you have installed it. Then you have to go inside bin folder, server 5.0 bin. Then you have to copy this, go to environment variables, click on edit or new, go to path, select path. You have to basically add it in the path, right? New or edit, whatever you want to do. Add a new path here, click on OK. Then OK. I already have added it, so I won't do it again, right? So once added, you have to go to command prompt and type here Mongo, right? I hope this step is clear. This is like starting step, so you have to do that, right? Yeah, one more step. So this is one step that you have to do, and this is all one time. You don't have to do it again and again. Just for one time installation, you have to do this, right? So you have to go to this folder called program files, right? I think here it should be data. Okay, see, you have to go in this C directory, right? And you have to make a folder called as data. And inside this data, you can have DB. All right, so this is the structure that we are following. You can create a folder called data, and inside this, you can create a folder called DB. And whatever databases you will be creating, right? All those databases will be coming here and stored here in your on your hard disk, right? So this structure also has to be followed. So two things are there. One is setting of environment variables. So you'll have to copy the path of bin folder inside your MongoDB directory and copy it, paste it in the path in environment variables. The second thing is you have to go and see, make a folder called data, and inside that you have to make a folder called DB. Just that, it's done. All these files will be generated once you start working with the database. You don't have to do anything for this, right? Then you have to open the command prompt. You have to come on here, type cmd. You have to open the command prompt, and you have to simply type Mongo. And the MongoDB terminal will be opening here, right? So once you type Mongo, you'll have it here, right? Now, yeah. So I hope the steps are clear till here. Can you please repeat? The MongoDB installed, right? Any other option for practical if you don't have MongoDB installed? See, you can go through the session right now. Once the session is over, right? Or once you get time, maybe not today. Today it will be too late. Maybe tomorrow you can try it out, right? And if you have any issue with the installation, or if you have any issue with running it, or if you're not able to access it, you can reach us out. We'll respond back in 24 to 48 hours, right? Whenever like we find time, we'll respond for sure. Not an issue. So yeah, so we have this Mongo prompt open up, right? I hope the steps are clear because I repeated it. I'm just making sure it is clear to everyone, right? So two things again: copy the path of bin folder in your path environment variables. And second thing, you have to create a directory called data, and inside that you have to create a directory called directory. By directory, I mean folder, data folder, and inside that you need to have DB folder. These two things you have to do one time, not every time, only one time. Then you don't have to do anything. Once you have done these two steps, every time you need to run MongoDB, you just have to open command prompt and type here Mongo. So that both were only one time step. This is the kind of step that you need to do, like for starting the terminal. Send the recording videos, sir. Okay, sure. We'll generate a link and we'll revert back. Fine. Okay. Okay, but like just to make sure, please have your full focus here, right? It should not be that like certain time it happens. Like we think that if we have the recording, why do need to full pay 100% attention here, right? So it is just a like some more time is remaining, right? And we can learn a lot in this session, right? Yeah. So the better way should be you can go through the session. If you need the recording, you can reach out. Otherwise, directly we won't send because it is not required, right? That way it will be like we don't have we should not pay so much attention here, and then we have a backup that is there in our mind that we have a backup, we can refer it to it, that right, and we never see that video. It happens with me also, right? So that's why we are telling, if you need it, then we can send for sure. Okay, with that, let's proceed. So first of all, the thing should be how to create a database, right? If I'm using MongoDB, the basic thing is, or if I'm using SQL, the first step is how to create a database. So for creating a database, you have to use the keyword called use. You see, it is very simple. It is it is just opposite of SQL, right? In SQL, lot of setup is required, lot of things are required, right? And plus, if you are using SQL with any other programming language like Java or some JavaScript, it is very like typical to do that, right? It is very like the initial steps are too much for that. But here it is way easy, and it solves a lot of problem. And even our skill stack, the entire website is running on this MongoDB only, right? So like it is very easy basically, right? If we had used SQL, it would have been like very difficult for us. So yeah, to create a database, suppose if you want to create a database of students, right? You will have to use followed by the name of the database, student. Oh, sorry. Uh, what I was typing. Yeah, use students. Fine. So it says once you enter it, you'll get a remark. It says switch to DB students. Fine. That means we are in the DB students. How we can get to know which DB I am in? I can just type the word DB. Press enter. So it will tell on which DB you are, right? So currently it is on the DB students. Fine. Now, suppose if I want to get list of all DBs. So this DB has been created, but I also have other DBs. Let's see how to do that. So I can type show space DBs. So I'll get a list of all the DBs that I have as of now on my computer, right? Fine. So suppose if you want to use some other DB inside this, again you have to use command. Use command is used for creating also. So basically it is, if the database is present, it will switch to that database. If it is not present, then it will create that database, right? So suppose if I want to use this database called as which database should we go with? Users, right? So I can simply use users. It will show switch to DB users, right? And if I type DB now, it will show me that I am in DB users. Now let us go back to the database that we were using. So use students, right? Fine. Now we have created the database. So the next step is, what is the next step? To create a table. So inside database, we have multiple tables, right? Let us see. Let us imagine one example, right? So we have your college management system, right? You have attendance there, you have your marks there, right? All those details you have there. You have it there, right? So how many tables do you think will be designed? So there will be a college database, right? College level database, and there might be many tables inside that, right? One might be for faculty, so one may be faculty table, one might be student table, right? One might be uh, table for uh, all the non-college events, right? So there might be a lot of tables, basically, is what I'm saying, right? Let's see ER diagram for uh, college. See, so we have a table called as, no, this is not, yeah, fine. This is a lecture. We have subjects, we have admission, we have student, right? We have timetable. So all these you can consider as tables, right? So you have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a rough idea. It's not exactly that it cannot be more, right? See, this one is more appropriate. So we have faculty, we have subjects, we have exams, we have student, we have hostel, we have course, we have department. So 7 tables, right? So we have just created the database called as college management system, or we have created a database with the name called as students, right? And now we need to create tables. So what we will do in tables equivalent in MongoDB is collection. So db dot create collection will start with student, right? Fine. I hope it is clear till here. Let's not confuse it with the name of the schema. Sorry, with the name of the database. The database I just named it as student. So it should be something like management system, something like that, right? Or college. Let's take another database only. Why to confuse it? Use college. Fine. So our DB is now college. Let's create a collection here. DB dot create collection. Let's create our first collection. What it is? It is student, right? Student. I hope it is clear till here. So let's press enter. And it says okay 1. That means the operation is successful. Sometimes there might be some syntactical mistake, so it will give some error, like uncaught exception, right? Some error is there. So if you make any syntax mistake, it will tell you. So I hope it is clear till here, right? So this is how to create collections. Now suppose let us create some more collections, right? Like student and faculty. So this is equivalent of table. So we are creating new tables. Student done, faculty done, exams. Let's leave out department for now. Course, subjects. Well, let's have faculty also. Sorry, department also. Three, four, five, six. Right, hostel is left. Hostel. So we are basically creating this structure, right? I hope everything is clear till here. So now let us try to see what collections we have created or what table equivalent we have created. So you can type show collections. So these are the tables that we have created in our database college, right? So college was a database. Inside that we have created these many 3, 3, 6, 7 collections we have created. Now inside each collection, what I told inside each collection is table equivalent. Now we can inside each collection we will have some details related to that, right? So suppose if I want to insert a data now, the main thing of the database, right? I want to insert data called as like db dot. Suppose if you have to insert in which one? Student. db dot student, right? Just a second. I missed insert. db dot student. The name of first the db will refer to college, right? You don't have to write college there. You will just have to write db dot student, which will telling which collection it is. Then dot insert, which operation you have to do. So I have to do insert operation. And I told you, right? Each document starts. Each document is basically an object, right? So it starts with a curly braces, ends with a curly braces, and then we have property inside it, same like this. So support in case of student, what property you will have? You will have the name, right? I'll create 3, 4 fields, not much more than that because we have limited time. Name, then we have roll number, right? My bad. Yeah, roll number. For now, we are keeping everything in double inverted commas, right? Name, roll number, we can have batch or class, CSC, fourth year, something like that, whatever it is. Let's keep it CSC only, right? Suppose if these 4 fields we are having, fine. Let us press enter. It says right result and inserted 1. This tells us how many data has been inserted. So it is telling n inserted has been 1. So that means 1 data we have inserted. Now let us insert one more data. Fine. Now how to list all those data? Right. Let's have 1 or 2 more. Fine. I think 3 are okay. So 3 data we have inserted one by one. We can insert multiple data at one also. We'll see that. But for now we have inserted 3 data. Now how to get these data? So insertion is done. Right. The next step is how to access this data, how to select this data, or how to query this data. So the step is db.find. Here you can leave it empty, right? Okay, sorry. So always followed by db dot the name of the collection, right? I missed it. db dot student dot find. So we are getting all the 3 data that we inserted, right? I hope everything is fine till here. If you are not following, please let me know. If you are following, then also please let me know so that we can proceed. I hope it is easy to follow till here. Yeah, ID. Yeah, good question, Rahul. Good one. So ID, yeah, ID is basically it is created by MongoDB. So many of you might be knowing there is something called as primary key, right? So we have something called as primary key. What is primary key? Primary key has 2 values, means 2 property. It is unique and it is not null. Unique like your roll number, unique like your mobile phone number, right? Unique like your email, and not null means it cannot be left null, right? You need to fill that value. In primary fields, we have these 2 properties. The same way, MongoDB creates a primary key. And what is the use of primary key? Primary key is to differentiate between 2 queries, 2 records, right? 2 rows or 2 documents. So how we will differentiate between 2 things, right? Suppose here if I'm inserting the data, right? Suppose if another name is Saurabh also, many of you might say that there might be different father's name, right? Father's name is suppose also same. So it might be differentiating on the roll number, right? It may happen, right? So if roll number is there, then it is fine. But suppose roll number is not here, right? He's a new student and his roll number has not been generated. So in that case, what will happen? This ID underscore ID will serve as a primary key. So it is differentiating. So we can get to know, right, by ID which ID is older one and all those things. We can get the details, right? So it is automatically created just for MongoDB's perspective. It is not for our use. It is created by MongoDB to have it like to recognize which fields are uh, unique, right? To have unique records, unique representation, MongoDB uses it. Fine. Any other question? If no question, then we'll proceed. Okay, we created this, right? So the next thing should be how to delete a collection. So we have collections, right? Let us see all the collections again. Just a second. What is the mistake? Okay, it is show collections. So let us type show collections to get the list of all the collections, right? So we got the list of all collections. Now, suppose if I want to drop this department collection, I don't need it, right? So you can use db dot collection name. The collection name is department dot drop deleted. Now let us try to get the list again. So now we are not getting department, right? So that means that department has been dropped. It has been deleted, right? So now let us try to see how to delete a database. So we will not delete this database because we have already entered the data. We in starting we created one database, right? Called what was it? Student, right? So we will use student. So to delete the database, once you are in the database, you can directly enter db.drop database. Database. See, after each entry, it will tell you what is happening, right? So now the DB has been dropped. Now let us try this show DBs. So it is not showing student, right? So it has been deleted. So db.drop database for deleting the database and db.department.drop like db.collection.drop for deleting the collection, that is table, right? Table equivalent, not table, table equivalent. How can we recover db after deleting? See, if you are deleting it, it is not directly recoverable. So certain time there are some backup mechanism which MongoDB uses and which we also use, right? So it's good to have backup always. As a computer science engineer, this is one of the main findings that I have learned, that it's always good to have backup for anything. So for databases also, it is good to have backup. And if it is not needed, only then it is deleted. If you need it, you should not delete it. And most of the times, whenever you delete any profile, right? Whenever you are deleting any profile on any apps or websites, right? Suppose if you are deleting your account on Instagram, do you think that your data is being deleted for any website for that matter? No, it is not being deleted. There is no delete equivalent query for that. They are not running because they don't want to use on users' data. They don't delete it. We do logical deletes. So we will have a field called uh, current user or valid user. Some boolean field we will have is a user, something like that. It will be set to false if you delete the account, right? Or there might be a field called is account active. So it will be true only if your account is active. If it is deleted, then it will be set to false. So that particular data, when it is being queried, that particular field will be used and it will be not be considered. So this is called as logical delete, right? Logical delete it is called as. Yeah. Okay, fine. Then let us proceed. So creating a database, creating a collection, done, right? Inserting also we have seen how to insert it. Now we will see how to do multiple inserts at a time, right? We have done just one insert. Now let us see how to do multiple insert at a time. So again, let us go to DB college. What was the name? Oh, it was college only. Okay, my bad. See, there are a lot of commands. Sometimes I use the wrong command. Yeah, use college. Fine. So you can type DB just to be sure that you are connected to the database. Okay, now let us do multiple insertion. So DB dot we inserted in student collection. Student, right? What were the values? Let us fetch the values first. db.student.find. Let me copy this value. Yeah. db.student. So whatever operation you have to do is it's always followed by db.collection name dot then the operation name. Then if it is multiple record, right? It is multiple record. So you cannot have it directly here, right? Because this is one document, this is another document. If you are doing if you are doing one by one, then it is fine. But if you are doing multiple, it should be inside one array, right? So it should have this array, and inside that you can have your document. Fine. So one document is this. Then after one document ends, you can have your second document, right? So this way it will go. Let's change the name. Let us change the roll number. Fine. Let us press enter. And it says and inserted two. Right. So it is giving now bulk right result. Always see the message what is coming, right? You'll get to know what kind of error it is or it is successful or not. You just have to follow this message. So it says bulk inserted and inserted true. That means two records have been inserted. Fine. Now let us find. Now let us see. There were three records. If last time when I did this, there were three records. Now let us see how many records are there. So now there are five records. Two records have been added. So I inserted it inside array because there were more than one document. So whenever there are more than one document, you have to give array for insertion. Fine. So now there are five number of records. So suppose there are more such records, right? There are suppose hundreds of records, thousands of records. It will be there in your college database, right? Now, how to search inside that? So you can give db.find, and here inside the object, you can give query now. Suppose I want to see details of, suppose I don't have the, let us remove the upper details, right? Now, suppose if I want to find db.student.find only the student whose roll number is 123. Okay, this object bracket is missing. See, I said, right, you just have to follow the instruction that is coming up. You see, when I did this, so I simply told in the query that I have to find the student whose roll number is 123. So it is giving me the entire detail of that particular student, right? Or suppose if I do here class as ECE. So I'm getting all those details of the students who are in ECE, right? Or if I'm doing for CSC for the same matter, CSC only one, right? So this way we can query with some condition, right? Always there will be always some or the other conditions, right? It's hardly that you have to go with all the things. It's only sometimes, right? Otherwise, always there will be some or the other condition will be there. I hope everything is clear till here. Any doubts till here? No, see, Rahul, everything string is not mandatory, but currently I'm not going with the data types. I'm keeping it string just to make it simple. Because again, we will have to dig inside the data types and it might be too much for one session. So that's why I'm keeping it entirely string, right? I'm not going with, if there is multiple condition. Yeah, we have some operators for that. And we will see if time permits, we will see how to do that also, right? How to use those operators also. So like in if condition, if you are aware of any programming language, we have logical operators, right? We have logical and, logical or, logical not, right? Logical and is used to combine two expressions or two conditions. Similarly, here also we have and, right? So we have to use that operator for combining two conditions. Suppose if I want branch with something, right? Branch and a particular, what to say, particular name, something like that. I want to join two conditions, then I can use that, right? That will be a later point of time. We'll come to that. Any other questions? If we have any other questions, you can let me know. I'll wait for 30 more seconds. If we have any question, we can ping. Otherwise, we will. Okay, let us proceed. Do we have joins like SQL? See, joins are exactly not required. Like it might be required. We have something for join purpose, but most of the times it is not required, right? It won't be required for most of the cases. In certain cases, it might be required. So we have something equivalent for that as well. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Yeah. We have an operator for that. I'm not discussing a lot because it might end up confusing many people. So I'm just discussing the basics that can help to start off. All right. Okay. So the next is find we have seen, right? So what if I don't want a particular field, right? Inside this. So there is two thing inside this find. So first thing is condition, right? So whatever condition I'm putting. Second thing is projection. So condition we have seen. Now we'll see what exactly is projection, right? So this is the condition thing. Sorry, I wrote it inside that. This is the condition column. If I can leave it empty, sometimes I can give condition. Second thing is projection. So inside projection, I can give what kind of fields or attributes do I want. Suppose if I don't want this ID thing, right? This I'm showing it unnecessarily. I don't want this ID. I can set it as 0. So I'll not see this ID now. It's not that it is deleted. It's just that it will not be projected when you ask for the result, right? Because we don't need that field. Why should we display it, right? Or if you want some particular fields only, for example, if you want name and roll number only, you can set name to 1, right? And ID to 0 if you want to remove ID. Fine, we are only getting names. And suppose if you want to see it in a better way, we have something called as pretty, right? It will format your JSON, nothing else. So whatever result you are getting, it will just give it in a proper formatting so that the data is properly visible. Fine. So this is one thing. Okay, let's proceed then. The next thing will be update, right? So suppose I want to update, I have entered a wrong entry, right? Or suppose after first year, the student got transferred from, Shashank got transferred from ECE to CSE, right? Shashank got a good marks, basically good percentage or something like that. And he had requested for branch change. Branch change option is there, right? After first year. So now the branch of Shashank has changed. So I need, as a college database administrator, I need to update it, right? So how will I do that? So db dot collection name student dot update, name of the operation, that is update. Now what will be the condition here? So first of all, what condition that you are applying? So we already have the condition, right? We already have the roll number of Shashank, or with the name also we can do. But the problem with name is there can be two Shashank with the same name. So we'll be using roll number. Roll number, roll number is 129, right? Followed by the change that we want to make, right? So it will be, suppose there are two things, right? Suppose, first of all, I'll tell the correct one, then I'll tell what will be happen if we don't use that. So there is an operator called dot set, dollar set, right? And then inside this, we have to give whatever we want to update. So we want to update class to CSC, right? So it says unmodified one. Unmatched means the condition that I gave here, one document matched with that, and one document has been updated. It might happen, there might be certain updates sometimes, right? Now let us see what is the Shashank's info. Now it has been updated to CSC, right? But what if I don't use this? What if I don't use this set? So what will happen is, let us see what will happen. So basically it will override. As far as I remember, it will override. Shashank, yeah, see. So this is Shashank. That all the fields have been overridden by. So it says that, so basically what it meant was dollar set means update the value of the particular field. And this is saying, this query is saying that whenever you find roll number 129, which was Shashank, simply update the entire document with class class CSC. So all the other fields have been removed. Only class has been set to CSC. I hope the difference is clear here. So first was update. This is also update, but this is overwriting. So we are overriding or overwriting the older values with this value. So this is the entire document that it will consider, right? It will remove all those other values. So don't make this mistake. Use dollar set, right? Use this operator, dollar set operator. So what if I'm trying to update, right? I'm trying to update, and suppose if I'm giving some roll number here, suppose I'm giving zero, something called as 989, right? That will say n match 0, right? But if I'm updating here, no new details will be added, right? Means if I'm updating here, if it is not matching, nothing will be added in the database or nothing will be changing in the database. But what if I want, if no details are added, if no query is matching, I want to add it, right? So basically, if none of the values are matching with this, I want to insert also at the same time. So I can give one flag here called upsert. Upsert is a flag, upsert, and then we have to give it as true, right? So it says an upserted one. Let us see the details now. See, one more detail has been added with name CSE. That means when it did not find, let me do that again. Instead of CSE, let have some civil. Right. Now let us query it again. So we have civil added, right? Because we did not get this, right? We didn't, when we were uh, running this update query, we did not have roll number 899, right? We did not have, but what I did was upsert. I set upsert flag as true, which means that if this detail is not found in the database, then we have to insert this object, right? You can give the entire details there. I have not given the entire object, right? I've just given one value, but you can give the entire details there, right? So if it is not found out, that particular value will be added in the database. That particular document will be added in the database. That is the meaning of upsert. Okay, I got one thing. Can you please explain the difference of update again? Okay. So if you are not using $set and if you are using $set, the difference will be if you are using $set, only that particular attribute, only that particular property will change. For example, if I want to update the class of Saurabh, I have to use $set. If I have to make from CSE to mechanical, I have to use $set class like class mechanical, right? But if I'm not using $set and I'm running the same query without $set, what will happen? Only this class will be updated as mechanical, and this all the other two attributes will be removed. So it will be overwritten. The entire three attributes will be overwritten by that one attribute that we are giving, that is class equal to mechanical. Fine. That is not the correct way to use it. I hope it is clear now. Okay. So in last we have something called as delete, right? So we are doing CRUD operation, right? So for delete, what you have to do, db dot collection name again, student. Or suppose I want to delete this last one, right? Or I want to delete Aman's, so I can delete it by roll number, right? 321 dot delete one. So there are two methods, delete one and delete many. Suppose I want to delete, I want to give the condition called roll number, and roll number will be, sorry, my keyboard is not, yeah, just a second. There's some issue with the keyboard. No, it is fine. Yeah. So roll number is 321, right? So it says delete count one. So we thought of deleting this query, right? Now let's query it and see if it has been deleted. Fine, it has been deleted, right? So if you are using delete, right, by default, it will be deleting the first document that is matching. For example, let us try to delete by branch, right, and see which detail gets deleted. So let us delete by class and give class as CSC. So with CSC, we can see there are 1, 2, 3 details, right? 3 students. One, in these two cases, names and other details are not there, but there are 3 records in our database. Let's run this and see what happens. So it says delete count 1. So delete 1, the method itself is saying delete only 1. So it has deleted the first matching object, which was Saurabh, right? Now suppose if I want to delete more than one values at a time, so I can use delete many. So suppose in which case you will use delete one, in which case you have to delete, you will use delete many. Suppose if you are sure that you only have to delete one document, right? Suppose if you have to delete one student's record that has left the college, you can directly use delete one. But if you have to, if suppose that the entire branch has been removed from that college, right, or entire section has been removed from the college, so you can delete by entire class, right? So I'm giving delete many. So it says deleted count 2. That means two entries have been deleted, right? I hope everything is clear till here. Please let me know if there is any doubt. I'll wait for 1 minute before we proceed. Any doubt, anyone? If not, please ping yes or something equivalent so that I get to know that you people are following everything. Sir, what command to be used to delete one class under two or three section? I quite did not get your question. One class under two or three sections. I hope you are like asking for some typical query, right? So there are some operators which can be used to design this that particular query, right? If you are asking something else, please ping that in a different way so that I can get what exactly you are asking, right? So let's see some operators as well. So what I'll do, let's switch to some other DB, right? So let's make a new DB called e-commerce or uh, let's have mobiles, right? Let us see if it is empty. Yeah, it is empty. Fine. So what we will do is uh, you can go like you can go on Google and type fake JSON. See, I already have searched fake JSON for mobiles. You can get some random JSON here, right? So I can get some random JSON. I'll try to insert these values. Fine. I'll copy this value from here in VS Code, and then I will paste this value there. So let's remove unnecessary fields so that I don't have to type, right? And we can have a lot of queries then. So what you have to do, db dot mobiles. So it is all our products. I'm typing it here so that it becomes easy. I'll go ahead and paste there. Products dot insert, then the bracket and array bracket down in this bracket, right? So this is all we need. I did nothing, just I added this in the starting. That's it. Let's come back to our terminal again. So db dot, see if you don't want to create collection directly, you can do write the name of the collection here, right? db dot product dot insert. That will also, if the collection is there, then it will insert in that collection. If it is not there, then it will create the collection. So this is a shortcut basically. So db dot product dot, okay, I think we already wrote that, right? So I'll just paste it here, press enter. So it says and inserted 30, right? So that means 30 records have been inserted. So how we can see that? Again, db dot products dot find. So there are a lot of records. That's why you are seeing it like this. You can have the pretty version also, right? So you can see all those 30 records. Fine. Making sense, I hope. Okay. Now let us have some query. Okay. Yeah. So let us have some query. For example, I hope there is some price, right? Price is there, 70, 46. Let's have all those products whose price is, so we want the products whose price is, suppose first, for example, I want price 70, right? Let us type here price 70. So I got this product, right? But I want the products whose price is less than 50, right? So this directly won't work here. This won't work here, right? We have some operators for this purpose. So again, if you want to put condition, you will have to use this object thing. Then dollar $LT stands for less than, right? So less than followed by the value that you want, 50. So again, the attribute name followed by the colon, normal colon, and then the condition that you want to put with the operator, right? And each operator will go inside a curly braces. Then press enter here. So we have all the details of all the Let's copy paste this and paste this in VS Code and see what details we got. Right. So if you see all this, just a second. What was the query that we entered? I think data did not got copied. Just a second. Yeah, it is correct only, right? See the price here, 13, and then yeah, it is correct. Fine, price is 13. So whatever price was less than 50 has been displayed. I don't know. I think it did not get copied. That's why it is displaying something else here. Fine. So we have the details for all those phones whose price is less than 50. So that is one operator that we can use. Right.